Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Do you dream about me? Do you dream about the Patrick Riggins Show? I know you do, Tori.
Yeah, all the time. Can't stop thinking about it.
Now, I said, do you dream about it? I didn't say, do you daydream during it?
Oh. Okay, well, okay, never mind.
All right. This is the
Yes.
Patrick Riggins Show.
Well, yes, work.
Yes, whatever.
Okay.
Right here on the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network. Playing a little 80s there, Night Ranger. Were you a big 80s hair guy there, Tori?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I grew up in high school.
You didn't put the hairspray in, did you?
Oh, yeah. It was
really?
called Stiff Stuff. I didn't use Aquanet. I used Stiff Stuff because it was stickier.
Oh.
Yeah, my prom picture,
So-
I look like just hair.
You're looking like those people from Poison.
Never wore makeup.
Never wore makeup.
Never, ever wore makeup.
Just did the hair.
Just did the hair and the spandex.
Oh, gosh.
I'm a drummer. Drummers were always allowed to wear spandexes as long as it's while we were playing.
That is true. Musicians can get away with that.
Yeah, you can't just walk, well, I guess you could just walk down Gay Street wearing spandex and be like Dennis was in here, like a lawyer or something, but George Corder walking down wearing zebra strap spandex.
Now, professional people are expected to dress a little better. Musicians can get away with that, though.
I know, and I love every minute of it. That's why I wear polka dotted shoes.
Yes, you do wear. He does have on polka dotted shoes. All right, this segment. I'm going to get off that track, and continue a little bit from the last segment here. Just try to make you think about some things here. What I'd like you to think about is, are we devolving as a nation? As in, not evolving, but devolving. When you look around the world, you see countries that are in an almost perpetual state of war. Either they are fighting neighboring nations or having a civil war where each side is fighting for control of the country. Incidentally, that's what a civil war is. It's fighting for control of a country, not to be confused with what has been called a civil war in our country, which wasn't a civil war. The South really was not trying to take over the country. Another little misleading fact of American history. But anyway, back to my question, that is, are we devolving as a nation? The reason I ask that, like I said, you look around the world, you see these countries that are always fighting, they're always at war, and we wonder, how can a country be at war for that long? How can a people be fighting each other for hundreds or thousands of years? Isn't that wearing out their citizens, the people who live there? Aren't they tired of being at war their entire lives? Children growing up only knowing how to live in a country at war. It used to be those people could flock to America, the land of opportunity, the land of freedom and liberty, the land of peace. But not now. Now America has gotten in on the act. Now we are in this perpetual state of war as well. We just call it the war on terror, which is as a fake a war as there ever was one. To figure out why we have become this way, all we need to see is it benefits a whole lot of people to be actively engaged in as much war as we can be. It benefits the government. They are able to clamp down on your pesky and irritating freedoms. It benefits the arms manufacturers because they're turning out bombs and aircraft and all the implements of war and their associated spare parts, all of this being sold to the government. We've become this nation of war, and we aren't content to keep it to ourselves. No! We have become the number one, the biggest arms dealer in the world, outselling all the other countries by a long shot. Other countries look at us now, and they see a country in a constant state of war and exporting more of it around the world. The consequence of all of this is the sucking up of resources that could be better used in other sectors of the economy. You see, we have this war sector, this area of the economy that feeds this machine, and it's growing well, along with government, the buyer of all this. And the other areas of the economy are left to fight for whatever scraps of resources they can find. That's why all this wealth is steadily accumulating in government into these areas of the economy, feeding the military suppliers, and it is being stripped from other parts of the country. Don't get me wrong, though. The military spending pales in comparison to the social spending we're doing in this country. The government has to pay off the citizens who are keeping it in power, voting the right way, and making sure the people running all of this stay comfortably in office. If we would just back off the world and just maintain a defensive military capability, we would be so much better off. The world would once again look to us as the powerful yet gentle giant, the huge and prosperous country that does not use its power unless attacked. But if attacked, we follow our own rules. We go to Congress, get a declaration of war against a specific country, and then we take care of business. Now, conservatives will argue, Patrick, we are fighting terrorists who have no specific nation state under which they live. How do we declare war against them? What we have to consider is, if we're minding our own business and letting other countries mind theirs, what do you think the chances are these terrorists are going to be coming over here to attack us? Now, we're told over and over by our country that these people hate us. They hate our culture, hate everything about us. Therefore, they're going to attack us whenever they can, wherever they can. This is a subject I've covered on the show previously, but I'll hit the high points here again. Here's a cold hard fact of life number 8. If terrorists wanted to attack us again, they would have done it already. But Patrick, you say it's because of the TSA and the Department of Homeland Security. They've prevented any more attacks. Oh, really? So no one can come across that border with Mexico. No one can bring a rocket launcher across that border and take out an airliner coming into an airport. Yeah, you're right. This country is impregnable. If someone wants to shoot up a school, they don't seem to have a problem making it happen. If someone wants to shoot up a shopping mall, it seems to happen there as well. So if they can do that, why aren't these supposedly fanatical people strapping bombs on and blowing themselves up all over this country in crowded places? You see, if you think about it logically and not emotionally, you start to see the disconnect between the story we're being given and what is actually happening. It is just like I tell you to do with your congressional and other government representatives. Look at their actions, not what you're being told. Look at what the actual actions people are taking. Those will always point out the real truth. These terrorists definitely have access to bombs and other arms. They have people who would be willing to travel to South America and make their way up into our country. Why aren't we having more attacks then? Is it because maybe, just maybe, we're being sold a bill of goods? We're being told things in order to further another agenda, that of relieving you of your natural human rights, all in the name of increasing your safety. We all know history repeats itself. Let's look at this so-called terrorism threat from the angle of history. Why did the Indians attack our forts, our outposts here in early America? Was it because they hated our religion? Was it because they didn't agree with how we lived our lives, our culture? No, it's because we repeatedly made agreements concerning what they saw as their land and then broke them. From the Indians' perspective, here they had a people who were claiming the Indians' land, the places where they hunt, the land they had fought other tribes over, and they continue to have to defend. They saw these white people setting up homesteads and farms on Indian land, but after a few skirmishes, they realized, hey, these white people are very powerful. They got guns. They have cannons. They have standing armies. So the Indians thought it better to reason and come to an agreement with these new people instead of fighting them and being completely wiped out. So they made agreements with the government to maintain some of their lands and give up other parts to the settlers coming west. Unfortunately, we continually broke those agreements over and over, which in turn made the Indians a little upset with us. Thus, they would attack when they saw as these interlopers setting up homes on Indian land they had secured agreements to with the federal government. So what did the government do when these attacks occurred? It sent an army to chase down and wipe out those Indians. Now back to present day. We look outside our country and into the world, and what do we see? We see American military bases all over the world. We see the American government operating in almost every corner of the globe. We see our CIA killing people without a trial. We see us sticking our noses into just about every country around the world, and we don't think that is going to make some people mad. We don't think when we violate agreements we have made, most importantly, our preaching of freedom and liberty to a world, yet we don't practice it. We don't think being hypocritical and preaching one thing, yet doing another, doesn't drive some people up the wall. It surely does when the shoe's on the other foot, when people do it to us. All right, we're up on the last break here. Trying to fit everything into this 1 hour is very, very hard. When we come back, it's going to be a short one, but we'll hit these drone strikes and we'll talk about Rand Paul here on the Patrick Riggin Show. We'll be back.